Okay, so we're gonna pop in for the fifth drawing as well because the fifth drawing is gonna get into some stuff that we haven't really dealt with before. We're gonna go to new, standard IPT. It'll open that up for us. I'm gonna split screen here while it's thinking. I hope. Oh, it's really thinking. Okay, this is the drawing we're gonna do. Right, it's number 5, and still waiting for that to kick in. All right, so we have the split screen here. This is the drawing we're going to do. We're going to do this because we have to do with a fillet. We haven't done that yet, and we also have to extrude a hole, and there's 2 different ways that we want to do that. We're also going to have to put a work plane on in a quirky way, and I want to show you why. So we're going to go to Start 2D Sketch, and we're going to choose the XY plane because you can see kind of where our front's going to be. And we're going to really quickly draw our drawing here, right? So we're going to go up 1.5. We're going to go over. We're going to go over a square amount, so we're going to go over this 2.25. Right, we're going to ignore the fillet for now, and we'll go through and put it in after 0.5. Enter, enter, and we'll come back down here and start over. You can see that green hard snap. We'll go over here 1.25. I'm going to go up. So you can see in our dimensions we have a total of 1.5 in height, 0.5 here, 0.5 here, which means 0.5 left over. So we're going to go up 1, if that makes sense, hopefully. And then we're going to connect our dot. Okay. I also like to take my dimensions and get them off the drawing as best I can. It's not always possible, but enough where it's just a little easier to look at. But if you don't do it, it's not that big a deal. There's 2 different ways to put a fillet on. I prefer the second way, but I'm going to show you both ways here. So the first one is fillet. I'm going to expand this out full screen. Go to fillet. It's going to ask you for what your radius is, and if you look at our drawing, it's a radius of 0.5, so we're going to change this to 0.5. Then we're going to click on our edge, and you'll see it rounds it right off for us. You can also see when you click on it, it puts 2 tangent constraints on there, meaning that if this line were to extend past, if you were to make this circle bigger, it would only touch in one place. So again, if you were going to change that later, you'd have to take those tangents off, but we don't need to do that. Now I'm going to undo this once that's done. You could have just kept it and hit Finish Sketch, but I'm going to undo it so that we can show you the second way in 3D space. So we'll hit Finish Sketch here. Zooms us into this mode. We're going to extrude it. And let's look at what our dimension is, how big it's supposed to be. We're going to extrude it a depth of 0.5. Again, if you're looking at this dimension, you can see it's 0.5. It doesn't give you this, this, or this, so we can assume this is a square. So we'll go 0.5, say enter, and we're good. So now if we come up here, same kind of idea. We go fillet, choose a radius of 0.5. Then you could select your edge, right? You can select any edge, really. You can keep doing that over and over again. We'll hit cancel and do it again. But for us, we just needed the 0.5 on the 1. Say OK. Apply. Cancel. We're good. All right, so the tricky part now is, and I'll show you why it's tricky. I have to put another work plane on. Let's see if we can go back to this half screen kind of deal. So that I can extrude this off. And that extrusion is off of this same back plane. So if I go to Start 2D Sketch and I click on my object, if you notice, it takes my piece and it puts it behind my sketch plane. Like now it's like I'm drawing off of my back view. Now there's a couple different ways I could have dealt with this. I could draw my object, and this isn't how I'm going to do it, so I'll draw it quickly. But I could have just went and done this, right? And when I extruded it, finish 2D sketch, I could just extrude it and go in a negative direction. Like this dimension is going to end up being 1.5. Right? I could just put a negative in front of that to get it to go the same direction. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with doing it that way. I hope. Oh, no, I got to make it 1.5. Sorry, and change my arrows. Put it that way. I could have done that. That's fine. What I would suggest doing, and I think this is an opportunity to show you how to do it. So we'll get rid of that. Got rid of all that stuff. We're going to go, and we're going to go to plane. And we're going to put a separate work plane on. What we were just putting on was a sketch plane. Work planes sit on sketch planes. If you remember when we first started, if I go to File, New, and go to Standard IPT, and go to Start 2D Sketch. These are all work planes built within the program, right? It's not showing it right now, but if I go to the origin later, you can see the XY plane. These are planes, and I can put a sketch plane on top of those, right? And then the work planes go away. They're there, they exist, but you can't see them anymore. So if I go back to my actual drawing here, my part 1, I'm going to save this real quick too. Go to File, Save As. You can name it ISO 5. Say OK, or save, whatever. All right, so what I'm going to suggest doing is that you put a plane on. So I'm going to go to plane, and I'm going to go to offset from plane. So I'm going to click on this. This would have been my plane. And then it's going to ask me what my offset is. My offset is going to be the thickness of my object. So if I hit 0.5, now 0.5 is not going to work. So I'm going to have to, because it's going to go the wrong direction. So I'm going to put negative. If you notice, it sticks it right on the back. So that's good. I'm going to hit the green check to say yes. And now if I hit front view, it puts me just how I want to be put. Okay, so start 2D sketch. Put it on our plane that we just made. Going to draw on our object. We'll grab the rectangle tool. We'll draw this out. Drag that down. We got to get this thickness on here. I'll just kick this over again so you can see the drawing as we're working. But that's going to be a height of 0.5. So put a dim on there. Wherever it just went, we'll just hit D. D, and that'll bring up dimension. Make this 0.5. Enter. I'm guessing it's going to tell us this will over-constrain. No, but it is correct. That should be 1. Enter. Finish 2D sketch. We're going to go extrude. There's my object. I'm going to hit F6. We haven't talked about it yet, but F6 is isometric view. So if I hit F6 at any point, it'll put it in a easier to see view. Go to extrude. It's going to come off of our object 1.5, so 1.5. And say OK, and now I've got the makings of my object. So now that I have that done, I have to go through and I have to put, I have to drill a circle, drill a hole through this object. 2 different ways to do it. You can draw a circle and extrude it through, or you can put a point and you can drill through your object. We're going to do the second one first. So let's go start 2D sketch. Now I don't need to create a work plane. That reminds me of something else too. Is you're seeing this work plane sitting here. If I go to my work plane, now when I'm finished with my object, I don't want to see that anymore. That's just a reference plane. So if I go to work plane and I right click, I can uncheck visibility and then that one will go away. So just a little hint for how to do something helpful for yourself. Start 2D sketch, click. What we're going to put a point hole center in, and it always take me a minute to find because we don't use them that much. Point, nope, right there, point. And I'm going to pop that on, I hope. F6. My sketch plane not going the right place? I don't know. Okay, there it is. And my point doesn't seem to want to go on. Unless it's there and I can't see it. So... yeah, center point. Let me just draw a circle on here. Just for a second. Ah, there it is. Sorry, grabbing the wrong one. This is something different. Point is right here. Click it, just put it on there. And you can see there's a little green point there. Sorry about that. Then we'll dimension it into place. D. Grab here, grab there. And again, if we go back to our drawing, should be centered, so it should be 0.5 by 0.5. Enter. Dimension it again. 0.5. Enter. Then we can go to finish sketch. And I can go to hole. And hole, if you want to do one, you have to have a center point to do it. So I can say my hole is going to go right there. And I have all sorts of stuff I can choose. We're not going to get into a ton of the details about it, but I could choose a countersink. You can see it's a different object there, and you can see what it does to my object. So it's going to drill this big bore out, then finish drilling through. Here's a wider, thinner one. Here's one that's more for like a screw head, but we're going to choose this one here. I can choose threads to go inside of my hole. That's also an option, but we're not going to get into all that. But my hole should be a thickness or a diameter of, I believe it's 0.25 radius. So a 0.5 hole. Okay, say OK. If I go to my top view, see it looks pretty good. Hit F6, looks pretty good. I'm going to undo that so I can show you the other way to do it. Go to delete. Yeah, we'll get rid of those sketches too. Put a sketch plane down. I believe I have an extra sketch kicking around right here because I was trying to figure out what was going on. I'll delete that also. But put a sketch on here. Go to circle. Put that on. Dimension it. D. There to there, 0.5, there to there, 0.5, dimension the circle itself, 0.5, finish 2D sketch, and we already kind of know how to do this, I believe, but go to extrude, Choose our object. Okay. We are going to change it, and we're going to go to cut. So if you see there's join, which this would join it to our object, we're going to cut through our object. And it's not really an issue because our 1.5 is plenty far enough, but it's a good practice of when you're going to go through the entire thing just saying all. So no matter how thick it is, it's going to go through everything below it. Say OK. And there's my object once again. So that should get you through drawing ISO 5. I'm going to hit save here so that I don't lose any of my work. But other than that, if you have any questions, good luck and go to work.